Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hautemess Tom. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today, I'm going to try to talk you out of the Sephora sale. If you are new to my channel, I struggled for a very long time on overspending on makeup, specifically higher end and luxury makeup, specifically at Sephora. I even worked at Sephora for a brief time. My goal here is to help keep everyone just in a little bit of check. A lot of people that watch my channel regularly are people who are on low buys, no buys, or just don't also want to overspend. I've done a lot of work over the last couple of years not to spend excessively, and a lot of that has been done here on my channel. I did a no buy a couple of years ago, and I did a budget year where I can only spend so much on makeup every month. And if you're interested in that, you can find that on my channel. So this is just the next step, the further evolution of that kind of work. If you're interested in that, I would love to have you subscribe. But we also do new makeup stuff here. We also do new makeup reviews. But a big portion of what I like to do on my channel is to focus on the makeup I already have and just be very discerning about the makeup that's coming out and what I might purchase, even for review as someone who makes money doing this. Now, it's not my full-time job, but I do make a little bit of money doing this. Let's jump into the video. I want to start off, before we start talking about specific products, just some general things that one can consider before making a purchase from the Sephora sale. First things first, an automatic no is an automatic no. If you go in saying, I'm not going to buy from the Sephora sale, then that's really easy. Whenever I was on a no buy, it was a lot easier for me because it was like I couldn't buy things and I wasn't allowing myself to buy things. The automatic no really made it easy to avoid shopping the sale or wanting to shop the sale. Now, I'm not saying that all of you are going to be on no buys or on strict budgets, but it is possible that some of you are. And just remember that the automatic no is an automatic no. It's a boundary you put in place for yourself for you to follow. And only you know that you put that boundary there, and only you will know if you follow it. Maybe also if you need to be held accountable and you want it to be an automatic no, tell people. Tell people that you're not buying anything from the Sephora sale, that you would be ashamed to tell that you bought from the Sephora sale later. Now, again, I'm not here to try to shame anyone. I know a lot of people get a lot of joy out of buying makeup. I'm coming at it from the viewpoint of like, I buy makeup to also use it and enjoy it, not just to look at it. Because if I have too much makeup and I arguably have too much makeup at this point in my life right now, I can't enjoy it all. My collection has to be the best of the best. So the things that I might consider buying have to be better than what I already have. But I also don't think we should always be like stuck in the search for the best. If something's working well for you, it doesn't matter if there's another thing better for you. You have that thing right now, and why can't you just love it and use it? That was a little bit off topic from an automatic no, but an automatic no is an automatic no. Thing two, this is not a good sale. So if you're not familiar with the Sephora savings event or this, whatever they're calling it, because I feel like the name changes every year. So they do it about twice a year in the spring and in the fall. And this year, I will put the dates down below. It starts earlier for those people who are Rouge. Or if you don't know how Rouge status works, it means you've spent $1,000 in a calendar year at Sephora the year prior or this year already, depending on how you hit it. But it kind of rolls over. And then if you don't hit 1,000 again, and then you don't have Sephora's Rouge status next year. I believe that Rouge starts on Friday and then everything else starts on Monday. I think it starts on everyone else the next week. Anyone could be a beauty insider. You can stroll up into Sephora while this sale is happening and say, I want to be a beauty insider. Those people who do not spend a minimum of $350 will only get 10% off. And why I say a minimum of $350, if you hit $350 on your purchase and you've never purchased from Sephora and you're just an insider, you do like upgrade to being a VIB. You would get 15% off. I hope I'm still right about those numbers. Honestly, I'm glad that I'm starting to forget these things because it's like kind of irrelevant information in my brain. 10% is not that much. 10% if you're buying online covers shipping. Sephora has been having free shipping, no minimum, since the pandemic hit. Like, I don't think that they charge for shipping anymore. I'm not 100% about that, but I feel like there's always a code for free shipping, or there's like, it's really easy to hit the minimum. It might be like $50 or $35. Anyway, that might save you the cost of shipping. That might save you the cost of taxes. 10% is not a motivating kind of sale. 10% is almost nothing. 10% is nice if you're already considering buying something, but 10% is not really that much money. So keep that in mind. 15% is often like if you sign up for a website's mailing list, they normally give you 15% off, and then you can just shop directly from the company. And then 20%, which is what Rouge status members get, that is like the only one that I would consider being slightly enticing. So I think truly, if I was only a VIB or a Beauty Insider that this sale is not enticing. 15%, 10% off makeup isn't that exciting. The reason that this sale used to be really enticing, because you might be someone who's newer to makeup and you might have seen makeup go on sale a lot since you started doing makeup and being into purchasing makeup. Makeup didn't go on sale like this 8 years ago, 6 years ago. This is like a development within the last couple of years. And I think it has something to do with a lot of people got into makeup in the 2016 to 2019 era. And so a lot more makeup was being produced. The bubble burst and less people are buying makeup. So they need to move the makeup so the makeup goes on sale more. You can often find pretty steep discounts on brand websites throughout the year. And also a lot of brands offload their excess merchandise to places like Marshall's or BoxyCharm and Ipsy, those kinds of things. So you can normally find a pretty good deal. A lot of places that aren't Sephora. So we make such a big deal of this event because at one time it was a big deal to get 10%, 50% off, 20% off makeup, but that's not the case anymore. Makeup goes on sale all throughout the year for much less of a reason. So the status of this sale, we probably should buy less into this sale being like some kind of crazy event. And I say that Sephora also runs more sales. Now they're a little more specific, like certain brands will go 50% off sometimes, and you just have to pay attention to their emails if you're really looking for a deal. I don't recommend you subscribe to a bunch of mailing lists just to know when sales are, especially if you are someone who is an overspender, because seeing those emails come in, it'll make you want to spend. So I'm not saying that that's the best idea. I'm just saying that makeup does go on sale all of the time. 10, 15, or 20% is like not that much of a thing. But as I was saying, Rouge, the 20% off is, I think, much more enticing than the other two options. So I can see as someone who is a Rouge, whenever the sale rolls around, you're like, I get 20% off. And also, if you are Rouge, and like, let's say you wanted to buy a Dyson or something, the 20% off normally works on Dyson products. So like you're getting quite a steep discount, which Dysons don't often get included in sales with coupons. Like normally, like if you look at the fine print, normally Dyson is excluded from sales like at other retailers. So that's also a big deal if you were looking to buy an Airwrap or something like. Those are all things to consider as far as like, it's not a great sale. Almost every makeup brand, Sephora or not a Sephora brand, will run a sale either right before, during, or after this sale that is better than Sephora's sale. Meaning if you wanted a product from like Fenty. Fenty has their own website that they sell through. It's not through Sephora, and they might do like 30% off, 35% off on their own website as opposed to just the 20% off. And that sale does not require you to have spent a certain amount of money prior to getting that sale. It's just like they're running a sale. The thing about that is sometimes you'll have to pay for shipping if you're not hitting some sort of minimum. And you know, I think paying for shipping is fine. I also think if you only buy the things that you want and you don't hit the shipping minimum, I feel like paying that shipping minimum is a reminder that you only bought what you wanted. And you might view that as like a downfall. Like, oh my God, it's like punishment that I'm not buying more because I had to pay for shipping. And I don't think that's how we should view shipping. It costs money to ship something. It costs money for that to be mobilized across the country to wherever you are. And I don't think we should think that that should be free, because it's not. You think it's free, but everything's upcharged so much that we are covering the own cost of shipping and what we're already buying. So shipping is not a problem to pay for. And I understand that sometimes it's exorbitant, especially if you're buying like internationally, but that's not what I'm really talking about here. I think that normally the brand sales are going to be better, especially if you are only VIB or a Beauty Insider. Those are going to be higher percentages than what you're getting. Now, whether or not they're more than 20%, it's a little more different, but you just have to kind of keep your eyes peeled, especially if you're looking for a deal. This leads me to my next point. Thing 4 to consider when you're going into the Sephora sale. If you weren't going to buy it before it was 20% off or 15% off or 10% off, or even if you were shopping on another website, if you weren't going to buy it before it was marked down, if you had no inkling to buy it before it was marked down, or if you weren't waiting for it to get marked down, having your eyes on it for a really long time, making sure that you knew you wanted it and you know you want it on sale, if it's an impulse buy, if you are only making the decision to purchase it because it is on sale, but you never thought about that product before that very moment, then that is not a thing that you should be buying. All that means is like your brain is just like, oh, it's cheaper now, I'm just gonna buy it. But like, is it a thing you actually want? Do you really, is it gonna add value to your life? Probably not if you like saw it and you were like, ooh, sparkly in the basket. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that you needed because you had never considered it before it was on sale. I mean that in a very specific way. I'm going to use a different example. This is not the best example, but it's what's coming to mind. Let's say you wanted to buy a Pat McGrath Mothership palette. $129 is too much, which is fair enough. It's very expensive. And you wait for the sale to get the 20% off. That's a okay purchase. I think that's a good purchase. Like, you were like, I already want this. I don't want to buy it full price. It's now 20% off. I'm going to buy it. What I'm saying is you wanted to buy the Pat McGrath palette at 20% off and you've been waiting for it. So the day of the sale, you add that to your cart, you go pick it up at the store, and while you're at the store or while you're on the website, you see a lip gloss and you're like, oh, well, it's on sale. I'm just going to buy that too. That's the bad purchase, not the thing that you have been having your eye on and waiting for the price to drop. It's the impulses that you might throw in along the way. I just think those are all things to consider while the sale's happening, before you go into the sale. If you are being smart about it, I think that it can be okay. But I do highly, highly recommend you pay attention to what's happening in the sales that are going on at the retailers. They're normally better. Especially if you're interested in Pat McGrath, don't ever buy Pat McGrath from Sephora. Pat McGrath's website runs incredibly steep discounts relatively regularly throughout the year. And then finally, my last thing before we get into specific things, if you don't have the money, then do not buy the thing. Like, if right now, if you do not have the money, it should be an automatic no. I can't tell you what to do with your money. However, I do know the state of the world right now, and I know that it's feeling kind of crazy, and it's just like maybe our money and our livelihood is more important than the little treat. And I know how hard it is right now, and I know that the little treat can cause a brief moment where you're like, wow, it's nice to like not think, and it's just like, woohoo, great. If you don't have the money, I think just make it an automatic no. It's just not worth it. Going into debt for makeup is not worth it. I can speak to that very directly. I've spent thousands of dollars on makeup that I don't even have anymore because it wasn't worth it for me to buy. I regret it. I regret buying makeup on a credit card. It's just not worth it if you don't have the money. But some of my subscribers have some very specific things they're looking to be talked out of. I will say this, if you're looking to be talked out of it, it's basically a no. It's a no. That's it. End of video. I'm not going to end the video. We're going to talk about the things. If you're questioning it, then it should just be no. Like, if you have any doubt in your mind that you want that thing, it's a no. So let's look at what people are interested in. We'll go through the most popular ones, and then that will be the video. The first thing I would like to deconstruct with you is going to be more of a broader category, because I think it's the thing that I saw the most of, but like from different brands people were interested in. So there are a couple noteworthy blush releases. House Labs re-released their blushes recently. Bosma, people are very interested in the Bosma blushes. People are very interested in just blush in general. This is just a very popular time of year for blush because it's springtime, and this is whenever they remind us that pink and peach blush exist. They really like to do that. And so this is when we normally get a blush release from a brand. Let me ask you a couple questions before you make any purchases from any brand. What don't you already have? What don't you want? And I'm just going to speak for myself here. So, and I love blush. Okay. I love blush. I still get excited about blush. A blush release is something that I have my eyes on. Whether or not I'm directly talking about it, I'm looking at a blush release. Okay. And I think I've kind of trained myself at this point to not get so hype about them, to make sure that I don't get swept up in the exact feeling I'm going to describe to you. It's spring. You've been so sad. You maybe were wearing a little bit more dull colors because that's what a lot of people do in the winter. I know many people are very expressive and they do bright, fun, colorful makeup all year round, and that's great. Some people follow the trends, right? And so it's typically in the winter, in the fall, we're doing like darker, less blush for sure. We're not really doing bright pops on the cheek. It's been 10 degrees for the past 3 months. You haven't seen the sun. And then a makeup brand says, we released 9 blushes, the same color of 9 blushes that every other blush brand has. And I think you're really gonna like them. And I have to believe that in the boardroom, that's like how that pitch goes. Because it's always the same colors. Very rarely it happens, but very rarely does a launch come out for a blush launch where there's some kind of like shade that feels more nuanced than any of the other shades, but it's like you get a coral, you get a peach, you get a pink, you get a darker pink, you get a red, you get an orange, you get like, you know what I'm talking about. You know the colors because you've seen them every year. And then all the brands are going to release them, whether it's a cream blush or a powder blush or a liquid blush. You're going to see so many blushes just come out at this time of year. And you were so depressed, you haven't been wearing color. And it just reminds you that you're going to feel the warmth. These blush releases remind you that like summer's coming. And summer's coming and I'm going to feel so good because it's going to be sunny and warm and I'm not going to feel this constant depression. First of all, blush is not going to solve that problem for you. If you're feeling so depressed, blush is it's not therapy. Blush is not a Xanax. Blush is just blush. And it's really exciting because blush is so pretty. Blush is the step if I'm doing a face of makeup and I start with my complexion. Blush, when I start putting blush on, that's when I start, sensually moaning. That's when I'm like, ugh, like that's whenever I start feeling super puss. I know that feeling. And I know you want that feeling from the new blush. But as I just said, most of the time, a blush release is going to include so many shades that have already been released. And I'm going to bet, because I'm this way, that you have a specific color of blush that you favor. So you love peach, right? And you love it. You're attracted to that peachy blush that they released in this makeup line. And you would look in your blush drawer, or wherever you keep your blush. I'm not going to assume you have a whole drawer dedicated to blush like I do, but that's my reality. And like 50% of the blushes you own are a peach shade. What is that peach blush going to add to your collection? What about it is going to be different than your blushes? How is that blush better than your favorite blush? Like, what do you think that blush is going to do? Because I'm just going to say it. We're kind of at this point at makeup where something has to be incredibly special for it to be even like slightly different than something that another brand has or something that you already have. Brands are getting really good at making good makeup. That if it is better, if it does perform better than what you have, it's like only marginally. But the thing that you use all the time, you use all the time because you love it. And that's going to distract you from using the thing that you love. It's going to be a little shot of dopamine whenever you buy it. You're going to watch the tracking number and watch it slowly come to you because shipping, if you're buying it from the Sephora sale, is incredibly slow if you are not the first person to buy something. You're going to be waiting. You're going to be waiting for that stuff to show up. So you better get it in. And that's how the content creators, I bet, have alarms set for midnight when that sale goes live to make sure that theirs are the first boxes that go out so that they can post their haul video before the sale is done. So they can let you know a little bit more and be like, oh, wow, the sale's still happening. That's what we're doing, okay? I'm just saying, you have to keep in mind that this is all a business for all of us. So what is that blush? What does that blush represent to you? Why do you think it's better? Why do you think that the blush that you already have, I'm sorry, this is the blush I'm thinking of is over here. This is what keep looking over there. But like, it's just not going to be that much better. So whether it's from Basma or House Labs or Armani or wherever you are planning on buying your blush, it's not going to be the tea. It's not going to be anything better than what you have. I just don't see it in the cards for you that blush is going to be so much better. And listen, I've had people tell me that I'm wrong, right? That they went and bought a thing and it's so great. Tell me that you're still using that thing in 6 months. That it still fills you with the same thing. That the same feeling that when you bought it, are you still feeling that same thing in 6 months? Or did you go back to the thing that you loved before that thing? I don't have anything to call out about these specific blushes other than the fact that the House Labs blushes shrunk for whatever reason. So I'm not saying that any of these releases are bad. Any of these blushes that you are pining after are bad. But I'm just going to guess based on my habits that your habits might be similar. I love a nude blush. If they put a nude blush up there with that blush release, I'm like, oh my God. Oh yeah, I need to try it. I need to try it. I don't need to try it. And I also have this thing that happens every summer now where I think I like coral and peach blush. And I don't dislike them, but I have a coral blush that I never wear. that I never wear, but I see that whenever spring happens, when spring has sprung and those blushes come out, I go, I'm gonna be a peach girl this year. I'm gonna be her. I'm gonna be her. I'm never her. And I know that because I have it. I still don't use it. There were a couple of notable releases in lipsticks relatively recently. I had some people talking about them wanting the Prada lipsticks. I had some people talking about the new Merit matte lipsticks. And I had some people talking about the new Westman Atelier matte lipsticks. And as someone who is interested in both the Merit, well, not really so much the Merit anymore, but still the Westman Atelier matte lipstick, I understand. Here's my thing. It's going to be very similar to my conversation about the blushes. If I think about me, and I see this lineup, these Westman Atelier lipsticks, and I look at all the colors, I see one color that very much speaks to me. Guess what? A lot of the lipsticks I own are brown, dark brown. Most of them are dark brown, but I have some lighter browns. I just love brown lipstick, okay? I love a nude, which is also essentially brown, normally like a pinkier brown, but I love brown lipsticks. I love like a 90s lip. West Atelier lipsticks are $50. So 20% off, $40 for lipstick. And I would buy it and it would be just like all the other lipsticks that I have. Now, I have some beautiful, very nuanced lipsticks that I've purchased over the years that aren't like just brown. Knowing West Atelier as a brand I don't think that they're gonna really like push the limits of what a brown lipstick could be. I bet it's a reddish brown, a dark reddish brown. And I've seen in the Merit lipstick, because they also have a dark brown that I was interested in for a second, that it's a red brown. Guess what? I don't like a red brown. I wear a lot of cool tones, so I need my brown to be neutral, or I need it to be cool leaning. So those are like the browns that I'm looking for. So for me, the Westman Atelier one is already out. But let me ask you this, because we're talking about matte lipsticks. Some of you might be into matte lipsticks and you are having the best time right now because it's trending. However, no matter, the most comfortable matte lipstick is gonna be less comfortable still than like a satin or a lipstick with a shine or like a lip gloss. Like it's just gonna be less comfortable because it's matte. There's powders on your lips that are like sucking the life out of your lips. It's just what happens. And I'm not saying that there aren't comfortable mattes. There are certain, I love a matte lipstick sometimes. I do, I really do. But are you just chasing the trend? Do you just want these because these brands are selling you matte lipsticks and you're like, I guess that's what we're into right now. And now I'm all of a sudden inspired to wear a matte lip because these brands are selling me a matte lip. When was the last time you wore a matte bullet lipstick? I'm waiting. Now, that may be some of your gigs, but I have some matte bullet lipsticks that are beautiful. I almost never wear them. It's not because I don't like a bullet lipstick. I love bullet lipsticks. I really, really do. But matte bullet lipsticks, I'm not reaching them for a lot of reasons. Because normally with a matte lipstick, it's going to be full pigmentation, which especially if you're picking like a color, like it's something that has a lot of saturation to it, that's a lot of upkeep throughout the day, throughout the evening. Wherever you're wearing this pigmented bullet lipstick, it's going to be like a lot of work to carry like that kind of thing around and touch it up and make sure it looks good. You're going to need a mirror. And like, listen, I know that some of you carry compacts around you. That's fine. If that's your life. I just know for me, I'm a bit of a lazy bitch. I like to slap a lip product on at the beginning of my day. And if it all has worn off by the end of the day, I don't care. So I tend to like products that don't have a lot of pigmentation to them because it's like, I'm not going to reapply it. So it has to look good as it wears off. It has to look kind of like something that my lips would do. But a matte lipstick is always going to fade a little bit weirder than something satiny. Because most of the time, like the first time you eat, that satin lipstick is gone. But like a matte lipstick will just kind of like linger, but like not in a beautiful way, sometimes in a beautiful way, but like not always. And it's just like, who wants all of that? Knowing my audience and the way that they have responded to like lip product in the past, I'm gonna just guess that a lot of you aren't into like a matte lip. As comfortable and as beautiful as these lipsticks might be, and it might not be worth it to chase that trend. Also, I'm gonna bet if you've been in the makeup game long enough, you were here the last time matte lipsticks were really popular, whether they were a bullet or a liquid or whatever. I'm sure you still have some of those lingering in your collection. Put one of those on to remind yourself, do I even like a matte lip? Do I like the way this looks? And I think that we should be very cautious whenever we're like, because I'm be like, but Tom, these formulas are new and they're updated and they're going to be better. But it's also just like, do you like the way it looks? Right? Do you like the way it looks? Is a different color of that or a different formula of that going to be like, entice you to wear it more? All I know is that like lipstick is something that I have a hard time using up or rotating in a lot, even on camera. I'm normally reaching for like one of three things in my makeup collection. Like I'm reaching for my candy glaze because I like those, even though they've been acting weird. I'm reaching for that. I'm normally reaching for a lip gloss. Right now I'm wearing this Finding Ferdinand one, but like any lip gloss, I'm gonna reach for a lip gloss. Like my brain goes lip liner, lip gloss. And like right now I've been doing like just lip liner. For me as a consumer, not me as someone who might review makeup, buying a matte lipstick right now from any of those beautiful brands, any of those beautiful lines is not worth it for me. Now, I think the Prada line has other finishes, but I feel like I've only seen people talk about matte, but maybe they do have other finishes. Also, yeah, going back just a little bit, it's just like, you wear probably the same color of lipstick all the time, and you probably have many variations of that, just like you have with your favorite color blush. And so it's just like, is another lipstick really going to be worth it? Shall we talk about an eyeshadow palette? So a lot of people had shown interest in this palette from Makeup by Mario, the new neutral matte palette from Makeup by Mario. Neutral palettes, something with neutral browns in it. I think if you have more than 3 eyeshadow palettes, assuming that you are someone who is typically drawn to neutrals, you've got this covered. You've got everything in this palette covered. I'm gonna take a swing. If you're into brights and you have like a bunch of bright palettes, maybe you don't have this. But I'm also assuming if you're into bright colors, I don't have to talk you out of the neutral palette from Makeup by Mario. There's something very enticing about neutral palettes. As someone who is a basic B with their eyeshadow most of the time. Now, every now and then I spice it up. Every now and then, I'm gonna really do it. I'm gonna really put it to you and show you what I can do with color. What I have going on right now, that's what I like. That's my favorite. That's what I like. And so anytime a brand releases a neutral palette, I too get a little tingle, like a little excited. And like I go, what are you doing over there? What's that? And is it better than what I have? 9 times out of 10, it's not. Have you ever tried Makeup by Mario eyeshadow? No? Okay, what's your favorite brand of eyeshadow? Is it Natasha Denona? Is it Pat McGrath? Is it I can't think of any other brands. Do you already have neutrals from that brand that you really, really love? Great. I solved the problem for you. Viseart. Viseart mattes are my favorite mattes. So I have a lot of Viseart matte like shadows, and I have a lot of their neutral shadows. There's nothing that buying this palette is going to add to me as someone who has makeup. Because all it is going to do is just add more makeup, but not different makeup. And yeah, sure, if you buy it and you end up liking that formula better, it adds value in that way. But then you also still have the old favorite formula, and it's like, it's gonna feel more like a chore to finish that up. And I guess I'm approaching this from someone who like wants to use my makeup, where like something that's really similar to something that I already own is just a distraction from the thing that I was already using and loving. I have intentions. I would like to use that up one day. I feel great when I use things up. It means that I used it. It means I loved it. Bringing a new lover in to distract me from my current lover is just a distraction from my current lover. And oftentimes I find that whenever I bring something new in like that, especially like something like this new eyeshadow palette, I'll use it for a while and be like, oh, I really like this. I really like this. And then I'll go back and use my Viseart and go, why'd I ever leave you, Viseart? There could be a benefit. Maybe you don't have like a companion palette and you don't like remove your pans, or you don't buy things that have removable pans, you're not going to depot it. So maybe this is something that you would like to pair with like your bright colorful shadows. I get it, because that's a lot of what I do. Like I use my Hint Dash palettes, I use my Viseart palettes, and then I use my special shades on top, whether they be from Chantecaille or Cleona or another indie brand. Like, you know, like I understand that, but I'm going to guess that you like have some of this in your collection already, and you can easily just use what you already have. I understand convenience, and I understand that it being pretty and it being in a formula that might be enticing to you, but it's really just, it's not going to be that special. Especially, and like, I say this because it's like, it's just neutral mattes. There's not, having a really good solid matte neutral palette is like invaluable, of course. So if you don't already have that, maybe save your money, buy something more fun than that. Like if you have to shop the sale, buy something more special than this, because this kind of thing, this kind of neutral matte palette's gonna be around. Whether it's from Makeup by Mario or another brand, there's always gonna be like an option to resort to that is something like this. But maybe if there's something that's like more trendy that you're more interested in, like very interested in right now, I think it'd be more shift your money to whatever that is. That's my opinion. That's my advice. I had some people talk about the Danessa Myricks palette. Danessa Myricks has like a new Groundwork palette coming out, in case you didn't know, and it's like blush version of the other palette. I tried the Groundwork palette and I think it was fine, but it did not feel to me like something that had a high use case value to me. The creams are in the bigger pots and then the powders are in the smaller pots. So the like the powder is almost being sold to you as like specifically something that you're going to use on your eyes, because there's just no way to get like a blush brush or something bigger in there. So like you're using them for your brows or your eyeshadow. And you have the bigger pans. The texture in there is like a putty, and it's really easy to move around. And not to say that like that's a bad thing. However, I only used that a couple of times and it got kind of gross really quickly, and I don't like that. Like that's something that really can affect me. I have some cream products that look rough and tough, and as someone who has facial hair, and when I shave and like sometimes the facial hair doesn't all kind of like shake out whenever I wash it and everything, sometimes like my facial hair will get into like a cream product. But that wasn't even what was happening with that. It was just like I swear to God, like lint and everything just kind of like was like a magnet for that. It got stuck in that putty texture. Not only that, it felt like a formula that one could use up really, really quickly. I tried that after my friend Andromeda did. They got it in I think they either bought it or they got it in PR, and they didn't really care for it and they sent it in my way. And I opened it and it looked like Andromeda had used it like 100 times, not just a couple of times. Because I did follow up with them and I was like, how many times did you use this before you sent it to me? Not that I was being ungrateful that they had sent me, like I knew I was getting a palette that had already been used. They said they used it twice. There was such a intense dip in one of the putties that I was just like, how does this already look like it's half used? So I'm not really sure how far the putties will get you. Maybe the pink one won't, but the eyeshadow palette, like the groundwork palette, had a distinct scent to it. It smelled like it was fragranced, which is interesting. I've not tried a ton from Danessa Myricks, but I know that some things are really heavily scented and some things have no scent to them. And I'm not really sure like what the reasoning is for each of those things, but that palette had a strong scent to it, and I had to ask because like I like had a bunch of makeup on my table the one day and I was like, what is that smell? And it was that. It's not like a bad smell, but it is fragranced. So something to note if you happen to be sensitive to that. That might be a reason not for you to buy it. Ultimately, I just like wasn't that impressed with it, if I'm being quite honest with you. And a bunch of blushy shades is like something that doesn't call to me inherently. So like it's one of those things where like I'm trying to talk you out of it, but it's like something that like is, I don't want to say repulsive to me because I don't think it's actually repulsive, but like my brain's like, oh, not that. Oh, never that. I would never touch that. And just the way I feel about the Groundwork original palette, it makes me feel like completely, I don't think there will be a Groundwork palette, whatever the color iteration might be, would be for me, because it's just, I really didn't care for the thing. It's not that the formula was bad. It's not that I didn't perform. I had a good time blending them. I can't speak to this for the pink version, but I had a really hard time understanding what the colors were like in the pan. Like they didn't look the same in the pan as they did on my eye. There was a lot of disconnect there, and I found it really hard to work with the Groundwork palette, which is supposed to be neutrals, but they all leaned like a specific undertone, and it was like hard for me to like really understand that just by looking at them, especially the putties. Like they read a little bit different on the eye than they did in the pan. So I'm not saying that it couldn't be a useful palette for some people, but like if you're buying it to be like this multi-purpose thing and you're into those blushy colors, you already have blushy eyeshadows, you already have blushy blushes, and you can use all of those things and you already have them. And I understand it's really enticing to have it all in one thing, but like, are you a makeup artist? Do you travel with your makeup so much that you would need something like that and it would be really useful to you for you to have it all in a palette? Because most of us, that's not the case. A lot of us do our makeup in the same place every day and don't travel that often. And like, we don't need things specifically for travel unless we travel a lot. I don't travel that much. I went on one trip last year. I don't need to buy makeup with the thought of it being good for travel. So like if I want to do a makeup with a bunch of blushy colors, I'm gonna like use the blushes that I have and use the eyeshadows I have. So maybe that's something for you to consider, because I would certainly do that before I would buy that palette. So a lot of people have brought up this product. This is the new Ilia Stick Foundation. So Ilia as a brand doesn't excite me at all. So I'm coming at this already like disinterested in this release. But what I will say, if I'm interested in a foundation release, or if I had the same temptations with something different, I'm going to tell you what I would do or my thought process. A foundation is a thing even with the amount of makeup that I try, that it's something that I try to use up, because it's a liquid product. It's not going to be good forever. Also, the longer it sits in your collection, the color changes, the formula goes like a little bit weird. Like, it doesn't always work exactly like it does when you buy a fresh bottle of it or a fresh stick of it in this case. I know how my skin looks in the complexion products I have, and I have my favorite foundation, which is the Surratt Dewdrop foundation. And the reason I bring this up is, like, you probably have your favorite foundation and you're probably really, really happy with it, right? And you know how it performs, or if you've been in makeup long enough, you might have a foundation you like to wear in the summer that's a different formula than what you wear in the winter. Depending on where you live, like, sometimes that shifts around. I understand that for sure. What do you think that this Ilia foundation, this new foundation that you've never tried before, what do you think that it's going to do that your foundations aren't going to do? The foundations that you know and you wear all the time, what could that one do? Like, I just know from experience, and as someone who's tried a ton of complexion products, for me, the Surratt Dewdrop foundation, which I bought before I was even really doing YouTube like the way I'm doing it, I bought that off camera, and I have still not found a thing that beats it, because it's like, it just does what I want it to do. Now, I like to try things that have similar claims to that, but like, I'm always going to go back to it. I know how it performs in the winter. I know how it performs in the summer. I know what to pair with it in the winter. I know what to do with it in the summertime to make it work, to make it last, to make it be the foundation that I want to be. Whenever I'm tempted by a new foundation, it's like, do I legitimately think that's going to be better than the Surratt Dewdrop foundation? And as I've been someone who's reviewed makeup for a while now, for the past couple of years, and has tried quite a few complexion products, not like the most complexion products, but tried quite a few, nothing's even come close. There are things that I really like, but they're not, like, in my head, they're not even compared to the Dewdrop foundation because they're so different. And I understand, of course, like, having different options. Like, I like having a skin tint. I like having something that it's like matte full coverage for whatever I'm like feeling that way, right? Like, I think the variety is the spice of life. But do you already have a summer foundation that you really like? Do you really think that Ilia foundation is going to be better than what you already have and what you know how it performs? Because I think that's really, really important as we're like heading into the warmer months. Obviously, I'm speaking from an American's perspective. We're going into our warmer months now. I just know that makeup, this is when I need makeup to like last longer. I need things that are going to grip things to my face. I'm going to need things that set things into place because I'm oily. So whenever I'm warmer and I'm sweatier, like, makeup just tends to shift all over. Like, it just wants to move. That's where it's what it's doing. So if I already know how to make my makeup perform, then it's just like, I don't want to learn how to do that with that new thing, especially as we're heading into the summertime. It's not for me. It's not my journey. It's not what I'm looking to do. So perhaps you can take that and run with it with the Ilia foundation. Also, just like, I feel like Ilia products go off pretty quickly because they're like a clean beauty brand. And that's also something to keep in mind, especially if you have a larger collection. Just like, when you're buying from clean brands. And I'm not saying don't buy from clean brands. And I'm not saying that you're wrong if you only buy from clean brands. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to make a little statement. I'm just saying it's something to be conscious of, because it's the likelihood of it going off faster. It's a reality of the way that they formulate. Someone talked about talking themselves out of buying backups. I'm not opposed to buying something as a backup if you are really close to finishing something. Like, you'll finish what you already have in like the next month. I think replenishing while it's on sale and it's on sale, I think that's totally fine. Just like if you're buying something that you've had your eye on for a really long time, I've been waiting for that just to go on sale to buy it, but I know I want it. I know I've wanted it for the past 3 months or 6 months, like however long you've waited for it to go on sale. I think backups are like a similar to that. Now, it's a slippery slope, right? You don't want to buy backups if you're like 6 months away from using something up. In that time, that product will have gone sale probably from the brand itself. Like, keep your eyes peeled, but like, you don't need a backup that soon. I made the mistake last year during the spring sale that I thought I would just buy a backup of some of my skincare. I use the Framboos glycolic from Drunk Elephant, and I also use the Shani Darden retinol. So those are the two things I use. I bought them both. I only recently opened up the Framboos that I bought last spring and during the spring sale. Like, it wasn't that long ago that I opened that. And the Shani Darden retinol, it took me like 4 months after that sale before I needed to open the new one. So it's like, I wasn't being very realistic about how long it was going to take. Like, I didn't need to buy those things that soon. You're allowed to be a backup person. I know someone's going to feel very attacked and they're going to slide into my DMs and be like, Tom, back up, blah, blah. You know who you are. leave me alone. I'm not talking to you. You can do whatever you want. And any of you can do whatever you want, but that you specifically, leave me alone. I just don't like having products sitting around waiting to be used. That's like not something I like. But like I definitely think there is value in like you're pretty close. Like you're not gonna use it up right after, but like very close to after. I think that buying a backup is fine. I think buying a backup on the sale, I think that's a wise thing to do. You're like having some foresight, but you're not getting too excited. You're like, I know I use this product. I know I'm going to use up the one I have in the next couple of weeks, the next month or so. I think that that's a perfectly reasonable time to use the sale to your advantage. And I think whenever you're re-upping on something, getting 10% off, 15% off, 20% off is nice because you already know that you're going to use that whole thing up. So like having a small discount will be okay. And I know that I would buy the Drunk Elephant Framboos or the Shanty Darden Retinol at full price, like if I would use it up before then. So I just think that feels a little bit different to me. But like also you have to be very realistic. Like, are you actually almost done with what you already have? Be smart with your backup purchases. If this goes on sale, this is the Fix Plus. I can't buy it from Sephora in America. If this goes on sale, I normally like buy one because I go through it pretty quickly and I know I'm going to use it. Like it's not going to sit there languishing for a very long time because it's like, I'm going to get to you. It's going to get to you. But like the Framboos serum takes me quite a bit of time to go through. So it's like, I was like, I had half a bottle left and it lasted me like 6 more months. So it was just like, I really didn't need that. I am going to buy something from the Sephora sale and I'm going to tell you why. I got a sample of La Mer. I got it in PR. Long story short, it wasn't real La Mer PR, but it was like PR, but it was like a sample. It was like a small little pot of something that they sent me. It was the La Mer resurfacing treatment. My skin loved it. The reality is that my skin really loved it. I have had a lot of trouble in the past 6 months or so with my top of my cheeks being really red, which is something that was always happening. But like, it got really inflamed over the winter. And I started using that serum and I used it for like 2, maybe close to 3 weeks. The sample was pretty generous and a little bit of it went a long way. And I was only using that at night. And it made my skin feel just as smooth as the one from Drunk Elephant. My redness went away while I was using it. I just feel like the combination is really good for my skin. And I'm not really close to being done with my glycolic from Drunk Elephant, but I think I might just use the La Mer instead because the Drunk Elephant one, like, it's clearly not doing it for my skin anymore. It's just not doing it. So La Mer is pretty expensive and I want to try it. This is kind of like, I'm going to buy the full bottle and give it a trial. I want to see how long the bottle lasts because it's not so much more expensive than what I'm already using as a glycolic. So if it lasts the same amount of time, then I'm not going to have an issue with it. But I just don't know, right? You never know until you have it. It has a pretty generous amount of product in it, but it's more of like a liquid, not like almost like a toner texture, which it's like a bottle that you pour out, which I tend to overuse products that come in that. So I just need to see, like, once I have it in my hands, like how long it takes me to actually go through that to know if that's something that I would buy, not on sale, and is worth it. But all I know is that my skin loves it. If I run through it really quick, then it's not something that I plan on repurchasing. But I figured I would buy it on sale and give it a test run to see how long it lasts me. That's what I'm planning on buying during the sale. I'm not going to buy any makeup. There's nothing that I'm really interested in right now. I still have a lot of makeup in my testing drawer, so I'm not even really intending on buying anything for review. The only thing I thought I might buy would be the Westman Atelier lipstick, but I feel like when I was talking about it just now, I don't have any interest in that anymore, so I'm just gonna let God and let live, okay? Just remember, it can be an automatic no. It's not a very good sale. The brands are running better sales on their website and you don't have to spend a certain amount of money to get those. You can just have them. If you don't have the money, it should just be an automatic no. There's no need to go into debt for makeup. It's not that real. Makeup is fun, but it's not something that is worth going into debt for. And, you know, just be responsible as you progress through the Sephora sale season and you're taking your recommendations and you're watching recommendation videos and you're using affiliate links and all those things. Just remember that this is all, you know, synergy, right? People are getting paid to promote things. You use their affiliate links, they're getting paid further. You know what I mean? Like, it's just all something to take into consideration. Hack the sale the way that works best for you, where you are getting what you need. And I'm not saying you shouldn't use affiliate links, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't support the content creators that you like. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying, like, just remember that. Like, it's something to take into consideration, right? Because I do think, obviously, people who use affiliate links should get paid. Like, I think you should, if you're buying something based on the recommendation of someone, they should get, like, a small commission for that. I think that 100%. That wraps up the video. If you are new to my channel and you are not yet subscribed, if I did not entice you or you didn't remember yet, let me remind you, you could subscribe. This is a lot of what I do on my channel. I don't talk about sales all the time, but, like, you know, I try to be considerate about how much I'm buying and what I'm buying and that kind of thing. So if that sounds good to you, I would just love to have you subscribe. Make sure you like this video, share this video with anyone who might find it enticing, or maybe share it with someone who might need a little discouragement from shopping this sale. That really just helps me. Leave a comment. What are you buying? What are you not buying? How do you survive the Sephora sale? Let us know down in the comments down below. I have a Patreon and channel members. It doesn't matter which one you join, you get the same thing on both of them. That's just a way to support my channel, help me keep doing this thing that I do over here. And those things make it easier for me to not have to do a Sephora sale video to make money. It's just like a little more consistent for me. You don't have to join my Patreon. You don't have to join my channel members. This is just that's just an additional way to support me. Liking, commenting, and sharing is like the best way to support my channel. But I do want to thank all of my current patrons and members. You are the absolute best. I really appreciate you. That's it. I've been talking for a really long time. Remember to follow your haute and you will find me. I'll see you in a video very soon. Go forth. Tits out. Bye-bye.